Hello everybody, welcome to Yoga Shorts. It is winter solstice today, which is awesome that the class actually lands on the solstice. So we're going to be practicing sun salutations. It's yoga tradition that sun salutations on solstice, you do 108 of them. To be honest, I'm not sure that that's actually healthy, but we're going to be doing 8 sun salutations in our practice today, so I hope that you'll join us. If you're new to my channel, welcome to Karen Barnes Yoga. These are yoga shorts, just 30 minutes of a yoga practice to help boost movement in your life. I have Annie with me today, and we're in her beautiful home practicing. So let's get started. First off, I want to do a little bit of spinal articulation with everybody so that we get a sense of where the spine is. But let's start with breathing, and then we'll move on to that. So let's just come into a standing position on our mat with our feet underneath our hips. So the feet are hip distance apart, and I want you to line up the outer edges of your feet with the outer edges of your mat. So most people, this will actually make you look a little bit pigeon-toed, especially if you have any bunions in your feet. And then I want you to try to shift the weight. So the weight's even between the front of the foot and the back of the foot, the inner foot and the outer foot. So you're well grounded onto your mat. Your feet are right below your hips, and your shoulders are right above your hips. Then I want you to take your shoulders up to your ears, roll the scapula, the shoulder blades down the back. Try to take your elbows in so you're externally rotating your arms. Put your head and neck over the rest of your spine. Most people tend to tip it forward like this when we check cell phones. Let's take it back. And then, if you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. If you start to feel dizzy, just set your gaze maybe at the floor, 4 feet ahead of you. And we'll start to breathe. Begin to relax the belly so that on the inhales it really billows out. A lot of our society tends to hold the belly in because aesthetically, socially, and culturally we think that that looks better. That's not anatomically how we should be breathing or moving. So for the next 30 minutes, get rid of your aesthetics, culture, and societal norms, and just breathe into the belly. Breathing into the belly allows the breath to come all the way into your lungs, pushing your organs and everything down into the soft part of our body. And it allows us to get more lung space for oxygen, which can help oxygenate all the muscles as we go through our practice. Taking in deep inhales and deep exhales. Trying to make the length of time that the exhales take a little bit longer with each one. I'm going to start by doing a couple counts of 6, and I want everyone to follow me. So let's take a big inhale together, big exhale together, and then we're going to inhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold at the top and then sip in a little bit more air. Sip in a little bit more. Expand your belly. Sip in a little bit more. Drop your shoulders. Keep that air in your lungs. And then exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it out at the bottom. Push that little bit of air out that's still in your lungs. You have some in there. I know that you do. So push it out by taking your belly in towards your spine. Keep it out and hold it there. Relax your shoulders. Relax everything that's tensing because you've held everything out. And then inhale for 6, 5, 4. You should be halfway. 2, 1. Sip in a little bit more air at the top. Hold it there. Relax your shoulders. Notice how much all you want to do is get the air out of your lungs at this point. Just notice. Notice how you feel. And then exhale for 6, 5, 4. Halfway. 2, 1. Exhale that last little bit of air out. Bring that belly in towards the spine. Squeeze all of the muscles. Get it out. Hold it out. Now notice you're at the opposite part that you just wanted to go towards when we held it on the inhale. See how you feel now? You got what you wanted. Noticing where you clench in your body, where you hold tension. And allow yourself to breathe in for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the air at the top again with a fully expanded lung. And then just begin to breathe exhaling, finding your breath, trying to keep the exhales nice and long, keeping the belly nice and soft as you breathe in. And begin to notice if with a little bit of pranayama, a little bit of breath practice, if you're able to get a deeper breath and maybe sink in a little deeper into your body, being more mindful and more aware about what's going on within yourself. So often our awareness is in other places. Yoga is one place where we can re-internalize and become more mindful about what's going on within us. Good. All right, we're going to start with just a little bit of spinal awareness. So Annie, I'm going to get you to lie down on your back, but I think I'm actually going to I'm going to get you to lie down so you're across this way, and I'm just going to tuck your mat in towards mine. So stand on my mat, and then that way you have a mat underneath you, but I want everyone to get the lateral view of you. So if you take your feet towards this edge of the mat, and then take your bottom towards the middle, and then lie down. And then what I'm going to get Annie to do is just a little bit of spinal articulation from a lying down position, from a supine position. So we're going to start with her making her spine into a C spine and tucking her pelvis. So the spine goes into flexion. I will do this standing up so that everybody at home can see what this looks like. Computer work, cell phone checking, sitting on the bus. This is what we're doing with our spine in this position on the floor. If you're at home, I would like you to be on the floor like Annie, because the floor gives you more feedback and you'll be able to get a better idea of what you're doing with your spine. Now I want you to, from this position, try to lay flat. So your pelvis is flat on the floor, your spine is flat on the floor, and it should feel slightly uncomfortable. This is not a neutral spine, but we're trying to make everything flat, just trying to get a little bit of sensation about what is going on. Back ribs are on the floor. And then I want you to take your bum and I want you to anterior tilt your pelvis. So if you're lying on the floor, there's a little bit of a gap between the mat and your lower back where the lumbar curve comes into play, and this puts your spine into more of a neutral place. And then I want you to start to roll through the pelvis again into more of that C spine shape. But this time, I want you to start to lift your pelvis, rocking it up off the floor, pushing into your heels. Make sure that your feet are hip distance apart. So I'm going to have Annie take hers a little bit wider. And then start to just push the pelvis up as you roll through the vertebrae. This should happen very, very slowly. I want you to try to feel every single bone in your spine as it lifts up off the mat. So continue to lift it up, pushing the pelvis towards the ceiling. And you'll feel weight shift into your shoulders. Keep pushing into the heels. And if you find that it's too hard to lift your pelvis, at some point you can take the heels in towards your bottom a little bit more. So continue to lift all the way up until you go into your shoulders. So we're tucking through the pelvis, pushing all the way up through the spine, coming into little bridge. And then take your chin slightly away from your chest so you can still breathe, otherwise you're going to feel slightly claustrophobic. And then we're going to begin to roll back down, but I want you to be able to feel each bone as it comes down to the ground separately. So go really slow. Notice if there's a spot in your spine where it tends to come down in a chunk or a big clump altogether. For most people, this is in the upper thoracic spine near the lungs, or near the lumbar spine and the low back. When you get to the pelvis, you should feel the back of your pelvis hit first, and then rock onto the bottom of your pelvis so that you end up with that little gap in your spine. Do you feel that, Annie? Okay, so everybody, we're going to do it one more time. I'm going to get Annie to tuck her knees in, and if you haven't done that at home already, bend your knees more so your feet come in closer to your bottom. You'll get more height as you push your pelvis up, and more weight will be put into those little bones, the vertebrae in your back, and it'll give you more feedback when you roll up. So just as Annie's doing, roll all the way up. You'll feel the weight shift into your shoulders. Take the chin slightly away from the chest. Breathe here, and then very slowly start to roll back down through the vertebrae, trying to make space between each one. I searched my house this morning for beads, you know those little beads that they use at preschool that are, yeah, so I was going to put them on a string, and I was going to have the string up and then slowly roll the beads down onto a flat surface to show you what I want done with your vertebrae, but I couldn't find any beads, so you'll have to imagine it. And we're going to do it one more time, so curling through the pelvis, lifting the pelvis up, rolling through the spine all the way up, and then very slowly rolling down. And setting the pelvis back to neutral. Go ahead and roll onto one side, and then just come and push yourself up. So we've woken up a little bit through the spinal vertebrae. Hopefully you have a little bit more of an idea of the sensation that happens within the spine. And now we're going to go into our 8 sun salutations. And we're going to try to do them all in a row, but Annie's going to tell me if she gets tired. I do yoga all the time. So
you'll notice it.
So we're going to start at the top of our mat. If you've never done a sun salutation before, that's okay. I'm going to show you how. You've probably seen it before. Feet are hip distance apart, right under the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Folding over the legs. Bend your knees if you need to, if you've got tight hamstrings. And then inhale to a flat back. So we're trying to make our back nice and flat, and we're trying to put our head and our neck in line with the rest of our spine. Exhale as you fold. Plant the hands on either side of your feet, and then step back to high plank. We're going to take the elbows in, almost as though we're scraping our ribs as we lower our body down to the mat. And we're going to roll our shoulders back, take the weight out of our hands, but we're going to keep them on the ground. And then we're going to inhale as we lift through the breastbone and the crown of the head, relaxing the bottom part of our body. In this position, you should be able to lift your hands because all the work is not done in the arms. Exhale your head back down, and then you take your toes and tuck them if they're not tucked already. We're going to push ourselves either through all fours to down dog, or if you're super strong, you can engage your core, you can push through plank. If there's any rolling happening in your spine, like a wave as you push up, I want you to go through all fours. Let's watch Annie.
No pressure.
So she's rolling her spine. So for Annie and anyone at home that's not sure, I would recommend coming through all fours and then coming into down dog. In down dog, I want you to take your pelvis, just like we did before, and I want you to tuck it up. So if you had a tail, you're taking it up towards the ceiling. This is an anterior tilt in the pelvis. So instead of a C spine, spinal flexion, we're going to push our tail towards the ceiling, push down with our heels, even if they don't hit the mat, and then take our breastbone towards the floor, lengthening through the spine. Look up towards the fingers, come up to your tiptoes, slight bend in the knees, hop, step, or walk your feet forward. Inhale to a flat back, exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, trying to keep the weight out of your heels. Exhale. As I go through this, if you've done yoga before and you want to add things that you know about, if you want to add extra to your chaturanga and do 3-legged chaturanga, or you want to add 5 push-ups, please go ahead and do that and make this as challenging as you want. For now, we're going to stick with the beginner method. So, sun salutation number 2. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Take the weight out of the heels. Bend through the knees if you need to. And then inhale to a flat back. Exhale, plant the hands down, step back to a high plank. Keeping the elbows in, lower down, either all the way to the floor or to hover. Rolling the shoulders back. Inhale yourself to cobra or up dog if you know it and you're hovering. Exhale yourself down all the way through to down dog, however you get there. Up to tiptoe, slight bend in the knees. Hop, step, walk your feet forward. Inhale to a flat back, take the weight out of your heels. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale down. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, planting the hands, step back to high plank. Keep the elbows in as you continue to exhale, lower. Rolling the shoulders back. Inhale. Exhale to your down dog, however you get there. Up to tiptoe, slight bend in the knees, hop, step, or walk your feet forward. Inhale to a flat back. Take the weight out of the heels. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Hands to heart center. Take a couple breaths here. All right, we're on 4, right? Something like that. I'm losing track. So I actually had pennies that I meant to bring today and I forgot, so that we could count everyone that we did. All right, inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale down. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, planting the hands, step back to high plank. Continue to exhale, keeping the elbows in as you lower. Inhale to your back bend. Exhale to your down dog. Up to tiptoe, slight bend in the knees, hop, step, walk your feet forward. Inhale to a flat back, weight out of your heels. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to high plank. Elbows stay in, possible 3-legged chaturanga. As you lower to hover, put the foot down if you did 3 legs, or all the way down. Inhale to up dog or cobra. Exhale, your down dog. I'm going to start to provide modifications for those of you that want a little bit more. However, if you're having fun with this the way it is, keep it like it is. Bending the knees up to tiptoe. Step, hop, walk yourself forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold, maybe bending through the knees. Inhale and rise. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, planting the hands, step back to high plank. If you hovered a leg, hover the opposite leg, keeping the elbows in. Lower to hover or all the way down. Keep the foot down now if you were putting it up. Inhale to your back bend, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Up to tiptoe, slight bend in the knees. Hop, step, walk your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. I think we have one more.
Yes, I think you're right.
I think so. I'm going to go back and watch the
We'll go with
video.
that.
Yeah. We'll find out. Maybe we're doing an
It's
extra.
probably been 12.
Maybe we're not doing enough. I don't know. This is why you should count if you're doing it. Inhale, hands up. We could just tell everybody we did 100 today. Exhale, swan dive down. Inhale to a flat back. Hopefully everybody's starting to feel really warm. This is like a CrossFit burpee in the yoga world. Keep the elbows in, lower to hover.
In slow-mo.
Or all the way down. Inhale to cobra or up dog. Exhale to your down dog. Up to tiptoe, slight bend in the knees. Hop, step, or walk your feet forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise. Taking the arms up. Taking the hands together. And breathing here. Nice, deep, slow breaths. Make sure your feet are still hip distance apart. Often we just resort to whatever's comfortable for us. Sometimes shifting weight into one leg or the other, or just standing with our legs in weird positions. Try to keep your feet under you. Keep the weight even on the feet. Lift the shoulders up. Roll them down the back. Externally rotate through the arms, taking your elbows in. And then just begin to breathe again. Notice your breathing. Has it increased since we started? Can you get it to relax again? Can you relax your belly? Are you holding tension in your body anywhere? Maybe your shoulders, maybe your jaw, maybe your forehead. See if you can get that to relax. Now we've got oxygen moving through the muscles. We've moved our spine a little bit more. And we can find the breath a little bit deeper. We're going to work in a bind today, which we're going to hold for a little while, working in the idea of oxygenating through the entire body. And we're also going to incorporate a hip opener and shoulder mobility, which if you've been following along with the videos, we've been working on for the last couple weeks doing quadruped teacups, which are actually not yoga. So if you're a yogi and you're watching this, go back a couple of videos and watch those. So I recommend for those of you at home, if you don't do yoga, or even if you do and you know that you need a block for Gomukhasana, then I would grab 1 or 2 blocks. For Annie, I'm going to get you to start on a block just so that you can get a sense for how this feels. So let's start on hands and knees with the block between our feet at our ankles. Then we're going to take the right knee forward and then take the left foot over the block. We're going to take our right knee up and cross our left. And then you're going to try to even your hips out so that they sit on the block. Hopefully we've placed it. But you might have to move it slightly.
Close.
So we ideally want the knees to line up and then the feet to come to both sides of the hip. Most important here is that you can ground through the sits bones. If you are able to do this without the block and ground through both sits bones on the floor, then you don't need to have the block. If you're sitting on the block but you're only sitting on one sits bone and you're listing towards one side, that means you need more height. Your hips aren't quite as open yet. Sometimes it can take quite a while, and that's okay. So breathing here in this hip opener, and then we're going to come into the arms of Gomukhasana. If you have issues with your shoulders, you can feel free to just leave the arm portion out, or you can take eagle arms where you scoop the left arm under the right and hook the arms this way. So you're still incorporating a little bit of a stretch through the shoulders without actually putting any strain on them. So for this, I'm going to have Annie stay where she is. I'm going to get her to take both arms out to the side. And then you're going to take your right arm up, over, and down. And your left arm down, over, and up. And I'm going to give Annie a strap, unless she's super bendy and she can reach her fingers together. If you don't have a strap at home, please feel free to use whatever is available to you. Maybe a belt or a house coat strap, robe strap. Anything is showing. For those of you at home, this looks like this. So we're going to take the right arm up and over, the left arm down and under, and then either grab the strap or your fingers. This upper arm bone I want in line with the ear. I don't want it folding in or winging out. I want it in line with the rest of your head and your ear. And then I want this back shoulder blade to tuck in, so you're not folding the shoulder forward like this. You're not rolling it forward. I understand that most of you are still holding this as I'm talking, and that's on purpose. Please keep holding it. Roll that shoulder back. Take this arm bone up and breathe. Your hips will probably start speaking to you if they haven't already. The compression of this is almost like when you fall asleep or your leg falls asleep funny and then you wake up and it kind of goes numb and you get all the tingly sensations. That's all the blood rushing back into your nerves and your muscles. And that's actually what we're going for in this pose. We're depriving things of oxygen for a little bit, because then when we release it, the oxygen flows more readily through to all the tissues, and they get oxygenated a little bit more than they normally would. Continue to breathe. Make sure that you're always breathing. See if you can relax the belly in this pose. try to think about whether or not we did 7 or 8 or 12,
12.
salutations. Count back in your mind. And then recheck in with this upper arm bone. Try to pull it up, in, and down. And then check in with this front left shoulder blade. Make sure it's not starting to curl. You should have a nice neutral lumbar curve, which means that your lumbar curve is coming in slightly. And your sits bones are both weighted on the block, and you're not starting to lift towards one side because it's easier, you feel it less in your hips. And then go ahead and release the arms. Come forward into all fours. Untuck the right leg and release the legs. And then maybe stand up and just shake it out. Releasing everything. And now we're going to do the other side. So, come into all fours again. Now you know where we're going with this, so place your block accordingly. If you don't have a block at home and you're not able to get your sits bones on the ground, you can grab books. You can grab like firm pillows would even work. Maybe even a stool, as long as it's narrow enough for your feet to be on either side of it. Whatever it takes just to elevate your hips a little bit so you can get weight in both of them. So we're going to move the left knee up and forward and a little bit out of the way. Take the right foot over the block and towards the left side. Then we're going to take the left knee and cross it over the right. Hopefully just come to sit down on the block, maybe adjusting it as you do. Make sure that both sits bones are grounded. This is a different side. We've got a different hip that's opening more than the other. You might need a little bit more or a little bit less underneath you. Then we're going to inhale the arms out. We're going to take the left arm up and over this time, and the right arm down and back, and then I will grab a strap. For Annie. If you're doing this at home and you don't have someone to pass you a strap, you can hold it in the arm that goes up and over so it just dangles for that back arm. And then push through both sits bones and elevate the spine. Try to make sure that your front ribs aren't sticking out, that they're tucking in as well. Sometimes we try to stick them out to get more space back here in order to actually reach our hands, but then everything kind of ends up collapsing. So watch to make sure that this front shoulder isn't rolling forward. Annie is a perfect example. And this upper arm bone is in line with the ear. It's not pushing on your head or winging out. Breathing here, opening up the hips. Knowing that a little bit longer hold in a compression pose or a bound pose like this will help to reoxygenate the tissues and bring them more alive and give you more energy, like a cup of coffee. I'm not sure. I think maybe a cup of coffee would taste a bit better, but
Can I have both?
We can do both. We can do both. So breathing here, sitting here, and then noticing too, as you go through this, if you find that it becomes too easy for you, maybe you need to lower yourself down. Or if your hips start screaming at you, that's a good sign that maybe you need to elevate them a little bit more. Maybe we started a little bit too deep in the beginning. Always making sure in yoga that you're listening to your body and following its instructions. I just give suggestions. I'm not the teacher. Your body's the teacher. Breathing here. We check in with this top arm. Make sure it's in line with the ear. And the shoulder, make sure it's rolling back. Relaxing the belly, sinking weight into both hips through each sit bones. So each sit bone, sits bones. You know what I mean. Keep smiling, it helps. And then go ahead and release. Take your weight forward onto your hands, uncross your knees, stand up, shake it out. All right. And that, folks, is time for today. So in the other videos up until this point, I've put everybody that I'm teaching live in person into Shavasana and held them there, but I realized that you guys at home might actually enjoy to do Shavasana with us, even though there's nothing happening on the screen. So today I'm going to get everybody to do it with us, and I'm going to time us, and then I will wake you up at the end of it so you can know that you can relax fully in Shavasana and you can enjoy it without having the next YouTube video start up or any other distractions happen. So go ahead and lie down on your mats, moving any blocks or props out of the way. Taking the palms upwards towards the ceiling or the sky. Relaxing into the mat. Feeling gravity pull you in and hold you and support you. Starting to let go of all thoughts. If thoughts arise, you can acknowledge them and then allow them to dissipate. You can come back to them after Shavasana. Return to your breath. Thoughts come up, acknowledge them, let them go. Inhale and exhale. Keeping your eyes closed, take in a deep inhale. Start to bring awareness back into your body. Maybe start to wiggle your fingers and your toes or stretch and reach up overhead. Whatever feels good to you. moving on to your right hand side, take a couple of breaths there. When you're ready, push yourself up with your arms into a seat. I'd like to wish everybody that joined us a happy solstice today. Happy solstice to you, Annie.
Happy solstice to you.
The light in me honors and acknowledges the light in each of you. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Namaste. And if you like this video and you want more, please subscribe. You can send me a like or give me a comment and let me know what you thought. And hopefully we'll see you next week.